Team America, F yeah! You're watching AMTV, Alternative Media Television. I'm Christopher Green, and it is April 8th, 2015. You know, I threw my back out yesterday. I think it's my sciatica. I was lifting weights, trying to get in shape here for the summer. You know, show those summer muscles to the ladies. And threw my back out. And honestly, it sucks. I'm in a lot of pain. But you know what also sucks? Power outages. Exactly what happened yesterday in Washington, D.C. Mysteriously, very suspicious. The White House went dark. The State Department went dark. The Department of Energy went dark. The D.C. metro area went dark. People were stuck in elevators or on the metro, the equivalent of the subway in Washington, D.C. Parts of Maryland went dark. And the White House says it wasn't linked to terrorism, which begs the question, if it was, would they tell you? And the obvious answer to that is hell no. Of course they wouldn't, because it would cause a panic. I mean, could you imagine if yesterday was actually linked to terrorism? It would mean the White House got caught with its pants down once again. Yes, I'm a cynic, and it's a cynical viewpoint, but I'll tell you this. If they played the scenario in reverse and actually linked it to terrorism and Homeland Security, which somehow responded within seconds of the power outage, I saw the headline on CNBC, interesting how they timed it so quickly. There was such an immediate response. If they did admit that it was terrorism, then it was likely, more than likely, a false flag. They'd be using it to propagandize something or to pitch it for the reason for something, or maybe just covering something up. Maybe there was a bill going through Congress yesterday and they had to knock the lights out. You know, I think what happened yesterday was extremely suspicious. I think likely it might have been some kind of terrorist act. It also could have been a test. We saw the same thing with the May flash crash. I believe it was in 2010, where the Dow Jones Industrial Average crashed 1,000 points in seconds, really, and then rebounded, and there was no explanation for it. They just said it was a fat thumb, that it was an erroneous trade that caused the stock market to collapse. You know, it's the government, not people like me, that are constantly warning of EMPs, constantly warning of these technological terrorist attacks. Also interesting yesterday, they said that Russia hacked into the White House computers on the same day that we just happened to have this electrical outage. You know, it just goes to show you that Washington, D.C. folks can't protect you from these types of events. They can't protect Washington, D.C. or New York City or Phoenix or the country for that matter going dark. When that happens, not if, but when that happens, expect the people to panic. Expect martial law. Expect a Mad Max environment. In fact, they even have a movie coming out on this. So the events of yesterday, highly, highly suspicious. The fact that the Department of Homeland Security was so quick to say it wasn't linked to terrorism. The fact that the White House went dark. The State Department went dark. The Department of Energy went dark. That isn't some kind of accident. It's not some kind of, unruly event where they're blaming, they say, power station went down in Maryland. We supposedly have backup systems for that kind of thing, which generators were working yesterday to keep the lights on. But an event like that doesn't just happen. Not in Washington with all these safeguards. Not in Washington where they have a shadow government. Not in Washington where they have underground tunnels that the Secret Service can move the president through. Highly, highly suspicious. And again, it just reminds you, and it reminds the general public, that Washington can't protect the people. Only you can protect yourself. It's why it's so important to protect and take steps to protect you and your family. Also in the news today, Iran is moving warships off the coast of Yemen. Isn't that interesting? They say it's to combat piracy, but we know it really has to do with the war that's currently taking place. This revolution and re-revolution that we've constantly seen in places like the Middle East, whether or not it's in Egypt or now in Yemen. With the Houthis on the ground, the Shiite-backed, what they call radical terrorists, backed by Iran, fighting against Al-Qaeda and ISIL. You see, in this case in Yemen, the United States of America is actually on the same side of ISIS and ISIL, fighting against the Houthi, Shiite, Iranian-backed rebels, terrorists, what the mainstream media calls, on the ground. At the same time, Barack Obama is negotiating a nuke weapon with Iran. At the same time, we're fighting a war against them on the ground in Yemen. I mean, how absolutely absurd is that? How is it that the United States can constantly play both sides? Demonize ISIS and ISIL in the Levant in places like Iraq and Syria that have newly been toppled courtesy of this covert intelligence-led coup by the United States and Western governments, and then in other countries like Yemen be on the same side as Al-Qaeda and ISIL. Again, the events that have been transpiring over the past couple of years, over the past couple of weeks, are unprecedented, folks. This power outage, not a coincidence, highly suspicious. Your government cannot be trusted, and most importantly, cannot protect you and your family from these types of events. I'm Christopher Green. Get this video out everywhere, make it viral, hard-hitting it in your face, and click the link below to support our sponsor.